Stugotz here for Lightstream. If you're thinking about saving money this summer, why not start by paying less interest on your credit card balances? Refinance with credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream. It's an easy way to save hundreds to thousands of dollars and lower your interest rate. Lightstream offers credit card consolidation loans from 5.89% APR with autopay, lower than the average credit card interest rate of over 18% APR. Say goodbye to high interest rate credit cards this summer and start saving with Lightstream. Guys, they did it for me. I promise they can do it for you. Our listeners can save even more with an additional interest rate discount on top of Lightstream's already low rates. The only way to get this discount is by going to lightstream.com/Lebitard, lightstream.com/Lebitard, subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.5% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com for more information.
Message and data rates may apply.
When did it become okay for men to be lazier, softer, fatter? We need to bring the men of this country back to greatness. And it's easier than ever with Ageless Male Max, a patent-pending formula with an ingredient that helps boost your total testosterone, promoting greater increases in muscle size and twice the reduction of body fat percentage than exercise alone. Plus, an amazing 64% increase in nitric oxide, which can be handy in the gym and in the bedroom. Take your manhood to the max by trying your first 30-day bottle free. Just pay shipping and handling. Not 10 days, not 15 days, but a full 30-day supply free when you text the word LIFT to 797979. Finally, a formula that boosts total testosterone. If your results with Ageless Male Max are too intense, please decrease use. For your free bottle, text LIFT to 797979. Text LIFT to 797979.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
It's the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. I am neither. I'm Domonique Foxworth. Be joined by the greatest eyelashes at ESPN. Randy Scott will join me later. He's rushing over from SportsCenter. But good news for all Le Batard fans. Your long national nightmare will be coming to an end in 24 hours. Dan and Stu will be back. You will no longer need to put up with me or Randy Scott or Adnan or Israel or Clinton Yates. All of us who are not quite the great Dan and Stu will be gone, will be cast aside for your beloved leader, Dan Quixote, returns.
Well,
I can't say I'm all that happy about that.
Actually, Domonique, Dan's not back tomorrow.
Oh.
Stu is, though, and he'll be in with Greg Cody. But, but Dan will be returning next week.
That's even better, though. Let's be real. Isn't what we really want is a untethered Stugotz? That is the best thing possible. A week of Stugotz running amok all over the company without Dan here to add what Dan believes to be some credibility. We just have Stu flailing about like a garden hose with no nozzle. I can't wait.
What I realize is that when Stugotz is gone for 2 weeks, I start to miss him so much when I hear the rejoins. Cause when they're here and we're like a month of like them all being here, I kind of like tune out the rejoins. But when Stugotz and Dan are out, I'll hear a rejoin with Stugotz and I'm just like, man, I miss him so much.
Yeah. So last week, kind of as a joke, every time I did the show, I did it twice last week. Rather than say the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, I'd say the Stugotz Show with Dan Le Batard. And I feel like it's not a joke because who do you miss more? Like, let's be real. Who do we all miss more?
That
Anybody?
Poll, we should put that on the poll. That poll will be probably the highest we've ever had.
I miss him more.
I feel like I do.
I miss him. I love him. I sent him several text messages over the last few weeks saying, I miss you. I didn't send those to Dan.
But we need Dan.
We do need Dan. We need Dan more, but I miss Stu more.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the right. Can we put up two polls? Who do you need more and who do you miss more? Because I think we definitely all miss Stu more, but we know that we need our vegetables. I mean, we need that big husky piece of broccoli.
If the Le Batard Show fans are voting on it, Stu might win both. But who we need more in terms of a shipping container, we definitely need Dan more.
Yeah. But I feel like an educated listener would understand that you need Dan in order to appreciate Stu. That Stu running amok for a week is one thing, but Stu on the show by himself all the time, like you need Dan for Stu to. No, you need Dan. You need the bitter bit that Dan brings to the show to be there so that when you get a sweet taste, it's like vacation. Because I feel like this, back when I used to play football, off season would come and the first week is like euphoric. You're like, oh, I don't got a bleeping thing to do today. It feels great. But by the time you get midway through the second week, towards the end of the first month, you're like, man, I really need something to do. So like stew is like that, where it's like, all right, a little stew every now and then, get a little weekend's worth of stew every now is great. But if I just had 24 hours, 365 stew, I feel like I would take it for granted. I wouldn't appreciate it.
Domonique, do you have First Take on your screen right now?
I do. I'm looking at Will Cain.
What's going on with his hair, man?
He's undecided. I feel like he had a good look at one point. I don't know. I feel like his old haircut became popular amongst a group of people that maybe he didn't want to associate himself with. So he got a new haircut. This is a new branded Will Cain.
I miss the old hair. Yeah, you mentioned a national nightmare. I think it's his new haircut. What is he doing? He had it going on. He had everything working.
He doesn't want to be taken, doesn't want to be objectified. Like, I feel like his hair was taking over his persona. So he's cut it off so that you can delve into the quality of his words.
Oh, like sort of like when Kiss took off their makeup because they wanted to be taken seriously as musicians.
Yeah. Or when beautiful actresses are going for the Oscar, so they go play a role where they have to look ugly.
Yeah, Charlize Theron himself. Yeah, Charlize Theron wants the Oscar, so she'll do the monster. It's the monster or the monster's ball.
Yeah, that's what it is. He's pulling that. And I think he had to ugly it up a little bit for Max's sake, because I mean, Max is a handsome man, but he's no Will Cain.
So you think Max has it in his contract that Will's hair can't be over a certain length?
I think that clause was in there and he did not enact it until over this break, where he had to make some calls and said, this Will Cain hair thing is getting out of hand. Someone go in and cut it.
Right, because he would enforce it if Will's in for Stephen A. Like, if he's sitting opposite of Max, then the hair becomes a bigger deal. So I get it. I had no idea that Max had that written in his contract.
We determined, so I know you guys have done best hair before, but I think we determined last week at some point when I was on with Randy Scott that Randy has the best eyelashes. But I feel like at some point during the show, we need to break out some other features, because hairs and eyelashes, I know Ryan Clark gets up there for the hair. There's no competition for Randy Scott. I don't know. I need to know who has the best eyebrows, who has the best lips and ears. These are important things. All male. Only male, though. Yeah. Don't want to get fired.
Sneaky good eyelashes, Adam Schefter.
No.
Yeah.
Let me Google these. I've never thought of Schefter as an eyelash guy.
Will's got good brows, too, now that I'm looking at it. Maybe, you know what? He was jealous that his brows weren't getting as much attention as his hair. So he got rid of the hair so people could notice the brows. And then you're going to be like, you know what? He's got great brows and hair. And then he'll grow his hair back out.
I will say that fade is pretty clean. The way the beard goes into the hair, I like it. Yeah. It's grown on me.
Do you think that this is like their preseason? In the same way this is NFL preseason, sometimes you test out a look right now. Like, you're getting enough reps on TV that you can see the response, but it's not September where the games are real. So I feel like this might just be a little Will Cain preseason hair. He might commit to growing the hair back out and cutting the beard off once the regular season comes.
This is a great take. So the beard is also kind of new, too.
Yeah.
All right.
It's just preseason, man. He's just running a new offense right now, see how it works. If he likes it, he'll stick with it.
He's had that beard, but
he's had that beard with the hair, though, so you, again, just like the brows, you don't notice it as much because you're so, like, taken by the hair that you don't notice the beard or the brows.
Oh.
Max wishes he had Will's beard, right?
Wow.
Whoa. Max has a pretty strong
got good beard.
Yeah. I feel like Max has been doing the beard for longer than Will, too. Like, I feel like Max was the originator of that, or he was on the early end of the look like I'm not trying, but I'm kind of trying beard look. That's his look. Max has been on that first.
Greeny's been doing that, too, lately, I think, on First Take. That seems to be the thing now.
You mean Get Up?
Or Get Up.
Yeah, on Get Up.
By the way, I'm looking at Greeny's eyelashes. Pretty strong.
Really?
Yeah, pretty strong eyelashes.
How are his brows?
His brows, you know what? You really notice his brows because he does that sort of Justin Bieber thing where he sort of pouts the lips a little bit and the eyebrows go up. And like a little puppy dog look. Yeah. No, very strong from, I want to say like, nose up. Very strong.
Okay, I got a question. This might, ESPN security might storm in here and take me out after this because this might be considered blaspheming. But I noticed this morning when I was watching Get Up, And it's part because Greeny goes with the beard thing that there's quite a bit of contrast between the beard color and the hair color. And I feel like you got to commit one way or the other. You either got to let the hair go gray or you got to dye the beard too, because it's too much. It doesn't feel right to me.
Oh, I don't know what you're getting at all. I don't know. There was just a siren that started blaring off in the distance.
I haven't been on Get Up yet. I feel like everyone's been on Get Up. I haven't been on yet. Maybe I would be nicer if they'd invite me. Never. I'll never be on Get Up now that I've brought some attention to something that is obviously false. I mean, it just so happens that he has a weird genetic makeup where it goes gray on the chin but not on the top. It happens. I've seen it before.
That does happen. Plenty.
Yeah.
Happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who is that Saint safety that had that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Roman.
Preseason football. Can we change the subject? I'm nervous. I'm getting uncomfortable. You guys see that pass? Mahomes? Oh my gosh. It was like 80 yards in the air. It's impressive, right guys?
Roman Harper was the opposite. He actually had a dark beard and salt and pepper hair.
Wow. Those rookie quarterbacks, man, looking good. Sammy Darnold. What'd you think about Bridgewater? Huh? Bridgewater, Darnold, who you want?
Nice eyelashes on Bridgewater.
Really?
Yeah, Bridgewater. Top of the league for eyelashes.
Marv Albert.
Whoa. That's it. What's with the Marv Albert curveball?
Well, that hair color.
What?
Actually, wait a second.
Hey.
Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying a home for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a lot of anxiety and stress for a lot of people. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about that. They're calling it the power buying process. Here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, your assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. That gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. This is very cool here. First, they'll lock your rate up for 90 days while you shop. Now, here's the best part. If rates go up, your rates stay the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. Either way, you win. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, simple. Go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz. Rate Shield approval, only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data records. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Dan Le Batard.
Carlos Boozer went on highly questionable. If you're not familiar with this, it's basically shoe polish on the head. If you're balding or you got spots there, I used to use on television a can of hair.
Stugotz.
You just sprinkle like a can of hair in a spot, and it would just cover up. It's like gray spackle.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
The rejoin makes me wonder what is the most vain thing that any of us have ever done. I need to think about that. Anyway, Go Leech and Gringo on the road, presented by Progressive Insurance. It will be live this Friday from New Jersey for the Giants-Jets matchup. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $620. Need game tickets? Find your seats at Vivid Seats, the official ticket partner of ESPN. Enter promo code ESPN at checkout and receive 10% off your order today. Vivid Seats.
So what is the answer to that, Domonique?
I don't know. I need a second. So I gave up a long time ago trying to be like pretty. At some time around high school, I realized that my ticket to better education, my ticket to women, my ticket to everything was being good at football. So I stopped trying to be cute a long time ago.
Okay. All right. Well, Domonique Foxworth, just radio cuteness on the Dan Le Batard Show.
Yeah, I got this voice, though. This voice always works.
Golden pipes. I'm Randy Scott. Filling in for the guys. One more day that you're stuck with me, and then it's sort of a hodgepodge moving forward, I guess. Greg Cody back tomorrow with Stu, and then Stu and Izzy the rest of the week. So Domonique and I step aside for a little while now. But my biggest vanity deal is probably, we talked about it last week, it's probably putting a little color in the hair. Not shoe polish, just good old fashioned, like sit there for 35 minutes while it sets in hair color.
You got to be the only person at the company that does that. I guarantee it. You are alone. The only person.
I'm the only one. I'm certainly the only guy. Yeah, everybody else, it's all natural.
Yep.
All natural.
Yep. Facial hair one color and.
Yep. Jose Urania. Let's talk about that.
You want to talk about Urania?
Yeah.
Well, we can't do that. I mean, you got to be careful to do that around Chris Cody because that's his guy.
I do have something. So I do a show on the weekends, the morning roast with Clinton Yates and Mina Kimes. Clinton was out this weekend, so we had Dari Noka fill in, and I was shocked because Mina and I kind of came in with the same thing that everyone else has been saying, like, yeah, this is stupid. Why do you do something like that? Dari comes in and is all on board. He's like, hit him with a ball. As long as you don't aim at their head, hit him in the ribs. He went full Keith Hernandez, and I was shocked because, like, if Dari messes up at work, and I told him, next time I see him, he works in Charlotte, so I probably won't see him that often. But next time I see him, he stepped on me a little bit over the weekend show. So next time I see him, throwing a baseball at his back just to send a message.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's exactly how it works, but yeah, I get that Dari's old school, and I get that old school people will think that way, but this was stupid. So, old school is stupid when applied in this instance because Acuna Jr., like, I was struggling to try to find some way where he showed up a pitcher or pimped a home run or took too long rounding the bases or whatever. Like, I went back and watched the 4 home runs leading up to that point, and he didn't do it. So Urania was just sort of being a hothead, and, you know, like, he came in, he was second in the National League in hit batsman anyway. He's not afraid of doing it. And
so if you would have found evidence of him showing somebody up, you then would have been like, all right, hit him with a ball. Like, I think that is stupid too. Like, that is all stupid. And I've readily admitted to Chris Cody, and we want Chris to chime in at some point, but admitted to him that I do not fully understand the culture of baseball in the way that I do, say, football, and even to have a pretty good grasp on some of the cultural things in basketball. So maybe I'm just out of it, but just as an outsider, it just seems so stupid for somebody celebrating. Strike them out. Then don't hit them with a ball because they flip their bat or they dance down the first baseline. It's just stupid.
And Acuna did none of those things. That's what I'm saying. But I was struggling trying to find some, like, shred of, okay, old school baseball guy, right? Older, gruff dude. I'm not calling Dari any of those things, but in this instance, that's the subset he's in with regard to his baseball belief. So I'm trying to find somewhere where that old head can get upset. And I didn't even see that. I'm not saying I would think that way. But I was trying to find some semblance of it. It wasn't there. It wasn't there. So then for Urania, this is the thing. If I'm a Nats fan, and I'm not, thank goodness. But if I were a Nats fan, I'd be bleeping furious at the fact that this guy who should be serving a 10-game suspension instead is appealing a 6-game suspension is allowed to get out there and pitch because what does he do? He just masterful, complete game, 12 strikeouts against the Nats and celebrated like he won Game 7 of a World Series after winning a game in August that is still going to keep the Marlins in last place.
You guys ever hear the saying, ball don't lie? And Randy, how furious would you actually be? Like, let's be real here. You'd be
if
furious.
I were a Nats fan, I'd be mad because they still think Nats fans and I have friends and family down there in the DC area where I grew up, like, they still think they can make the playoffs. So they're looking for any semblance of, we're getting, bad call this and Dave Martinez doesn't know what he's doing and injuries and blah, blah. And now they have another excuse with a guy who should be suspended. And I think he should be suspended, but I get how the appeals work. So the 6 games is light, dude.
The Nationals should have responded for the Braves. They should have hit him first at bat.
Gross. So I should be fair. Since Dari's not here to defend himself, I'm painting him as a lot worse than he actually is. So I should be fair to him. Actually, I don't have to be. He's not here, so we can pile him. Dari thinks that you should throw baseballs at people when you're angry at him. So please find him at ESPN Dari. Tweet at him your disgust. But I do think that it's important to point out that it was not, and we had this conversation over the weekend, it's not a retribution thing where oftentimes baseball's unwritten rules are about getting back at somebody for showing you up or getting retribution in some way. It wasn't about that as much as it's about, like, gamesmanship, and I kind of compared it to basketball being like a hard foul. Like, if somebody's getting a little too hot, you want to give them a hard foul. But Mina pointed out, which was interesting, is that there is no in-between in baseball. Like, there's no other, it's not really a physical sport, so you can't give somebody a bump. You can't really send a message in any other way other than throwing a ball at them, which is a problem with baseball. Like, if you want to throw them inside and get them to back off the plate, that's fine. Even if you throw at them, give them a change up that's directly at their body. Like, I feel like that sends a message. But why you have to throw, 97, 98 mile an hour fastball at someone's rib cage? And as long as it's at the ribs, according to the monster Dari Noka, it's okay.
Darinoka is a monster, and I'm glad that his true personality and reputation is finally getting out there. Because, as you said, he's in Charlotte, so maybe not as many people realize that. But no, listen, it was 97.5 miles per hour. It was the fastest first pitch he'd thrown all season, and he threw it right at a guy, who had been red hot. He wasn't trying to hit him in the elbow. That was Acuna Jr. just protecting himself, and it was, unfortunate. I guess if you're looking at did Urania do it the right way, he did. He threw it at his ribs, and that's it. But garbage pitcher, and he has a great game. So there you go. That was for you, Cody. That was for you.
Dan Le Batard.
Texture writes in helpfully, hey, Dan, your eyebrows are shaved up so high you need to tan under them. Don't you realize there's nothing you can do to be handsome?
Stugotz.
It's a bit unfair because you happen to be, I'm serious about this, you happen to be a good-looking guy. You're not good-looking on TV, but in person, you're a good-looking guy.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Domonique Foxworth, Randy Scott filling in for Dan and Stugotz on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, or as you called it, Domonique, last week, the Stugotz Show with Dan Le Batard. Do you want to explain the Gary Streisky drop at the beginning of the segment, or you just want to let it hang out?
I don't have to explain it. It was just a note for you. I needed you to know that. It was a warning shot that I wanted you to know because I care about you and I love you, and I don't know this guy. I just saw him pop up, and I was like, man, he's handsome, he's smooth, he's giving a SportsCenter update, and I was like, because last week when you were on, you called some people out. Some of the great SportsCenter anchors, you made it clear that you're better than them. You called some names, you named names, I was proud of you.
Yeah.
And I just realized that your competition is not all in front of you. Like, this guy's coming up, and he's coming fast and strong.
None of that happened, but I know what you're saying. I understand.
It happened. We can look up the tape.
Yeah, let's look up the tape and see if we have it. Because I remember you handing me a live grenade with the pin pulled and just being like, hold this. Because you were like, who you better than, and I named like 2 names. That's it. And that you're like, yeah, named him.
You did.
Not the
Matt
greats.
Berry. I remember you named both Matt Berries. You challenged 2 scoops of berries to a parking lot fight. I remember it.
Well, and then Guillermo saw Matt Berry over the weekend, and he was like, the first thing he said, it wasn't like, hey, how was your weekend? Good to have you back. It was, hey, Randy, you are no Matt Berry.
Yeah, you can't take down Berry. Get out of here.
He would. Oh God, he's going to hear that. He didn't talk to me about the other thing, but he's going to hear this. And here's the thing about Gary Streisky is like, he came from my old station in Boston. Like, we were both at Nesson, and now he's here, and I'm excited for him. I'm excited that he's out of Nesson and that he's doing some more stuff and getting to spread his wings. So
that's nice. That is some good quarterback competition speak right there. I'm excited for him. I'm proud of him. He came up. I'm looking for the best. I'm going to teach him everything I know. Yep. In actuality, you're in a death match with that guy.
It seems like he's been hunting you. Like, he's been following your tracks, and you're his prey, and he's been following you since Nesson.
Yeah. That's how I feel, actually. You're describing all of my emotions. So you're playing into my insecurities, and you all know it, which is good. At first, you take me down in the eyelash game, which it's like the one thing I had, and now I don't have it. And then you say, like, no, your eyebrows are good, and you know my eyebrows are trash. So you're like, no, sorry, I meant eyelashes. Like, it's all very much a mental chess game that I'm losing.
At least you're funny, though. Like, you used to do stand-up, right? Like, that was good
true.
For you.
That's true. I was so good at it, I don't do it anymore.
Randy Scott used to do stand-up?
Oh, yeah.
Mike Ryan were you in a comedy troupe?
No, I was never in a...
So you were doing amateur night, and then you started working a circuit?
Open mic night. Yeah, I was at this now defunct comedy club in Brandon, Florida, that was literally a part of not only a Beef O'Brady's, but also a Best Western.
Oh, wow. This is amazing. Was it called the Laffy Taffies or something like that? What was the ridiculous name the club had?
It wasn't called the Chuckle Hut. It wasn't called anything. No, it was called Coconuts. And there might still still be a Coconuts kicking around somewhere.
Randy actually told us his opener. It was a bit wordy.
What's the opener? No, you got to. I know you did this already once.
No. It's the same opener that you laughed at off mic, Chris Cody.
We can't do this to Randy again because we made Randy tell one of his jokes on air and he cleaned it up for us. And I have to admit, it was terrible.
You were working Blue?
The glove joke?
Wait, Randy Scott was working Blue?
Then he told us a different joke off air that he could not tell on air, and he got some chuckles out of it.
Yeah, that one was good. That one was good.
It's not Blue. It's just sensitive, material. A little historic. It might be too soon for some folks. Like, I don't know.
You were a dirty comic?
Not a dirty comic. I had an acerbic wit. That's all.
Look at it. He's making me laugh already. You're funny, Randy Scott.
Here's the thing, man. It's one thing to play with your friends on radio and do limited impressions. It's another thing to get up on stage with a group of strangers that you don't know and you don't work with and don't have to laugh with you because you outrank them at work.
Well, you are a professional comedian, to be clear. It's not just open mic nights. At one point, you were getting paid to do comedy, which makes you a professional comedian. Although, the one person who should believe in you the most, your wife, was like,
shut it down.
This ain't gonna work out. Why don't you get a regular job?
I was so excited. I won 100, my second time on stage. So first, and Mike's gonna laugh at this. So there is a place in Tampa, I think it's still there. It's called Side Splitters.
Amazing.
That's where I started. That was my first time up, and the bartender laughed. There were like 6 people there. If you didn't bring 2 or more people, you had to pay $10. So I literally paid money to go on stage and try it out. And
you couldn't get 2 people to go watch you?
No, I just moved to Tampa. I'd moved from Fort Myers to Tampa, and I didn't know anybody.
Oh, so you had to bus outside and bring this coupon, and it said Randy on the back? Right? You had to do that?
Have you done this before?
I know all about this culture.
You are describing exactly what happened. I still have the 2 coupons kicking around somewhere.
Amazing.
Handwritten. My name was handwritten on the back. It wasn't even typed up.
How else do they know who gets credit for it?
So I got $100. So I went to the Tampa Improv in Ybor, where I think Dan's told a story about Ybor in Tampa, hasn't he?
I mean, Ybor, that would be on brand for College Dan.
Okay, yeah.
Everything that I know about College Dan in Ybor City.
So I went up at the Improv on open mic night, main stage, and $100 for I won $100, and I did 5 minutes of work, and I started doing the math in my head, and came back, and I told my then girlfriend, now wife, I was like, I can do this. I can do this for a job. I'll go up a couple times a night, get this money, or a couple times a week and get this money. And she was like, no, you really can't. You really, don't do this. It's not a life for people who want to get married. It's not a life for stable relationships, and you'd have to travel, and you'd have to drive yourself and whatever. And she was right. So I tempted for a while, and then got back into sports media.
So do you, I know most comedians, they exaggerate on their life and those sorts of things to make their jokes. So while you are walking through life, when things happen to you, do you cook up bits based on these things that you never get to use that are just sitting in the back of your mind?
Yeah. I mean, my mom growing up always used to, cause I'd come home from school and I'd be like, yo, this happened and this happened. And her thing that she said to me a lot was, do you wish this happened? Because I would realize all right, if I tell what actually happened, it might get a chuckle. If I class it up a little bit, take a little liberties, take a few liberties with some of the details, maybe I'll get an actual laugh. And I was like that. I was trying to make people laugh. And so yeah, that's kind of what stand-up comedy was for me. I think I was living such a boring life. Remember, I was on unemployment. I was done with my job in Fort Myers, followed my girlfriend up to Tampa. I didn't have a job. It was the height of the recession in 2008 in Central Florida. So, I mean, how many jokes can you do about being poor before, you start repeating the same ramen noodles jokes everybody else has?
I mean, be creative. Have you seen Hannah Gadsby's Nanette on Netflix?
I don't know what I haven't seen that. I know what Netflix is, but I don't know what it is.
Okay. Well, you should watch it. It's comedy kind of. Most of it's comedy, but it's excellent. It's good storytelling, and it is quite a journey. I don't know why I'm doing a commercial for her. Oh, speaking of commercials, so we didn't let Peter Berg passed on us last week for interview for Mile 22. So he immediately became an enemy of mine, and I gotta say, it's kind of happy to see movie didn't do so well this weekend. Am I petty for that?
Did it do as poorly as Kevin Spacey's movie?
It did not do quite that. So Kevin Spacey's movie made less than $500, and the assumption is that it's people turning away from him because of the crimes essentially that he committed in relation to the Me Too movement, and that's not great. Mile 22 is not linked with things nearly as bad, but they did pass on us last week, so
yeah,
it did pretty badly in the box office also.
Well, then that's not something that we're going to feel all that bad about.
Is your home an ADT home? Get ADT and help protect against break-ins, fire, and carbon monoxide. For a limited time, get ADT's lowest rate starting at just $28.99 a month from the most trusted name in home security. ADT is the first security company to help keep you safe at home and when you're on the go. Go to ADT.com/podcast to take advantage of ADT's lowest rate. With 36-month monitoring contract, early termination and installation fees apply. Excludes taxes and fees. Applies to traditional services only. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com.
Don Le Batard.
Vladimir Guerrero is 7th in WAR in Nationals and Expos history.
Stugotz.
How many Expos are ahead of him?
Oh, easy. Gary Carter's first.
The
then
kid.
Tim Raines.
Rock.
Andre Dawson.
Hawk.
Steve Rogers.
Raj.
Tim Wallach.
T-Wall.
And then Ryan Zimmerman, and then
Zim.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Back with Domonique Foxworth and Randy Scott on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, filling in for the guys who are back. Well, let's see. Dan's not back this week. Stugotz is back tomorrow with Greg Cody. And then Izzy Gutierrez and Stugotz the rest of the week. Shipping Container back in full force. Mike Ryan, how was your time off? Did you do anything fun?
It was good. Thank you for asking, Randy. I found out that much of the Pacific is on fire, and that's not great when you're trying to do outdoor leisure activities and hiking and whatnot. But it's a beautiful part of the world that I've never been to before, and I am back and recharged and happy to hear the pleasant voices of Randy Scott and Domonique Foxworth.
You could, Mike, but something else was on fire too. But I guess we don't have to discuss that.
Oh yeah, okay, how do I say this?
What happened?
I went to Safeco yesterday to see Kershaw pitch. Beautiful park. I ate something there that hasn't quite, it didn't go well for me. And I had to do a red-eye flight, with several visits. This is, by the way, the second time this has happened to me. One time I legit was dying. People say that it's an exaggeration, but if I didn't go to the hospital, I would have died from an internal, intestinal infection that kept me hospitalized from Vegas for about 3 days. So it wasn't as bad as that because I made 24 trips to the bathroom on that red-eye flight from Vegas to Miami. This one I only did 6, but I don't. All right, I'm in hotels. I'm in, airport bathrooms and cabins in airplanes. They don't use multiply toilet paper, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like the bidet is readily available. I didn't pack my One Wipe Charlies that I purchased specifically from Dollar Shave Club for this trip, and I forgot to pack them.
Well done. Oh boy.
So just down below, it is a forest fire.
So you're saying it's like a heartburn situation?
Yeah, it's more like a
no.
More
It's
like
not the heart that's burning.
More like a rug burn situation.
So your chest is on fire, is what you're saying?
No,
it's a little south of this.
Yeah.
Randy,
What did you eat, dude?
I ate chicken wings and it just didn't go well. What I ate is really not important. What I'm dealing with right now is really the sort of situation.
You got a fragile constitution, I feel like. Is that possible that your digestive system is, it's a little fragile?
I'm shifting my weight a lot.
Oh, buddy. I understand. Tierra del Fuego is what we're talking. We're talking about, what's that volcano formation that's in a ring? What's that called?
A ring of fire?
Is that what we're sitting on right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. Godspeed.
Preseason football.
Yeah, preseason
Speaking
football.
of on fire, Baker Mayfield and the Browns.
You are the Segway king.
Do you, Dominique, get as upset as former players that we work with? And I mean, we don't have to specify who it is because they all seem
Name names, baby. Names.
Everybody seems to hate the new helmet rule.
Okay.
And the way it's being officiated so far in the preseason. But I don't know. Maybe we haven't talked about it, but I don't feel like you're as fired up about it as everybody else is.
I'm not as up in arms as everyone else because I feel like there's no room left for me to also raise my arms. Like it's the preseason. Oftentimes they test out rules in the preseason. I agree. Like all the stuff that we've seen, like it's been unpredictable. It's been inconsistent, and it does. Richard Sherman had a string of tweets on Sunday. I thought that were pretty interesting, pointing out like anatomically it is impossible to run towards someone without having your head in front. So the rules are very difficult, I think, given what we have for examples. Like my hope is that the NFL is going to tighten things up, but right now it's a mess. It's unpredictable. You don't know what you're going to get fined for and not, or what you're going to suspended for or flagged for and fined for or not. And it seems like plays that used to be like standard football are no longer allowed. And Except sometimes they are allowed. So I guess I am a little bit miffed by it. I'm fortunate that I don't have to play under those rules because it seems hard and it's disproportionately weighted against the defense because you've already seen offensive guys. I think it was the Seahawks-Vikings game where a fullback was running at a corner and the fullback put his head down and the corner stopped his feet and put his head down too and kind of got run over. They threw the flag on the corner. It's unpredictable.
Yeah, no, I think that was the game in I think it was Minnesota. I think it was the Vikings and Jags. And yeah, it was the same deal. It was because offensive players under the new rule are just as susceptible to having a penalty called on them. And how often do we see that? I feel like that's running back 101. Like if anything, the negative feedback on a running back is, oh, he runs too upright. Like that was always like Latavius Murray and taller running backs. They run too upright, but low guy wins, right? Is it still all about pad level or is that going to change too? I don't know.
Who knows? It's all going to change, and I think it is a bit reactionary for us to be all upset, but I think it's fair. Like the NFL needs to hear the complaints, and it is tougher for defensive players. I think Josh Norman made the point that it gets tougher for defensive players to play, but they also, in turn, it makes it easier for offensive players to perform, which then the contracts for offensive players go up, and those for defensive players then go down, despite the fact that their jobs are harder. So it's not fair. Again, happy that I don't have to play under these rules.
I know. I don't know. I'm curious how it would change your personal approach to tackling, but it's not something you have to worry about. So we'll just worry about
tackling.
Tackling. Did you you tackled? You were a tackling corner.
Yeah, I wasn't good enough not to.
Domonique Fox with Randy Scott in for the guys. Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, ESPN Radio.
Stugotz here for Lightstream. If you're thinking about saving money this summer, why not start by paying less interest on your credit card balances? Refinance with credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream. It's an easy way to save hundreds to thousands of dollars and lower your interest rate. Lightstream offers credit card consolidation loans from 5.89% APR with autopay, lower than the average credit card interest rate of over 18% APR. Say goodbye to high interest rate credit cards this summer and start saving with Lightstream. Guys, they did it for me. I promise they can do it for you. Our listeners can save even more with an additional interest rate discount on top of Lightstream's already low rates. The only way to get this discount is by going to lightstream.com/Lebitard, lightstream.com/Lebitard, subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.5% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com for more information.
Message and data rates may apply.
When did it become okay for men to be lazier, softer, fatter? We need to bring the men of this country back to greatness. And it's easier than ever with Ageless Male Max, a patent-pending formula with an ingredient that helps boost your total testosterone, promoting greater increases in muscle size and twice the reduction of body fat percentage than exercise alone. Plus, an amazing 64% increase in nitric oxide, which can be handy in the gym and in the bedroom. Take your manhood to the max by trying your first 30-day bottle free. Just pay shipping and handling. Not 10 days, not 15 days, but a full 30-day supply free when you text the word LIFT to 797979. Finally, a formula that boosts total testosterone. If your results with Ageless Male Max are too intense, please decrease use. For your free bottle, text LIFT to 797979. Text LIFT to 797979.
Domonique Foxworth, Randy Scott in for Dan and Stu on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. We're in three places. We're sort of everywhere you want to be. Domonique is in D.C. I'm in Bristol with Outsider Mike, a.k.a. Smokes, a.k.a. Mikey C. Down in Miami is the shipping container in full, I think. I think Mike Ryan's back and Guillermo and Roy, and I've heard Cody as well, defending Jose Urania, the indefensible. And I think I heard Allison, or I know Allison.
No, Allison's too good to be in there.
She's not there?
I can't imagine Allison shows up if Dan's not there.
Well, but she was texting. I mean, we have Dennis Dodd lined up from CBS Sports to talk about this. I always love anonymous polling because I feel like it's the most honest, and that's in politics, that's in sports, that's in anything. And he polled a ton of Division I college football coaches, head coaches, and asked like the questions that we would want, like who's overrated, who's underrated, tough to deal with, all that stuff. Who gets, too much credit, that sort of thing. So we're going to talk to him about some of his findings from that, but that's not until the 12 o'clock hour. So we're sort of loose and open here in the 11 a.m. I've been warned on Twitter not to talk too much sports. So do you want to pick one of these
Don't let Twitter guide your life, man. Do what you want to do. Randy, they'll love you. I mean, they'll hate you either way. Like, I've learned that about when you do fill-in work. I got a good feeling about, or I'm in a good place with the Le Batard Show audience. They seem to like me, and I'm happy about that. But generally, when you do fill-in work, you can't be as good as the people that are there. When I do First Take, like, I get hate mail because I'm not whomever they want on the show. So, Randy, don't listen to them. Do your show, baby.
Yeah, okay, well, my show is a little bit of sports because that's what I like, but I can get silly too. I just don't want to get fired. That's my thing. Like, I don't want to play the game of, like, you know, who are you better than at ESPN, because those people
too late.
are more
You already played that game. You already played that game. It's too late.
All
Don't
right.
cry over spilled milk. I threw the grenade in there, and you launched it at a couple people, and it got close. And close counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, as everyone knows.
It absolutely does. I like this Tom Chambers story. I kind of want to go there for a minute because
Tom Chambers double clutch dunk in Lakers versus Bulls back in the day. Great game. Great dunk.
Back, man. Was that pre like Bird versus Jordan? You remember that game?
Oh yeah, I do remember that game. I believe it was before that. Yeah, when you had they would just take the two teams that were in the finals, slap it on a video game and sell it. And I loved it. And he, like, right from not the baseline, but more from the top of the key area, double clutch dunk, unstoppable. Tom Chambers. That's what I think of when I hear Tom Chambers.
Well, he was the dude who had, like, one of his greater in-game highlights was it was a double clutch dunk from way out, much farther than you thought he would do, but it's because he sort of surfed a human being. I don't know who the defender was, but he sort of, like, hung on the dude's chest and sort of rode him to the rim. So he stayed elevated for way too long. And it was kind of like the Cable Guy when Jim Carrey uses, like, Jack Black to dunk on. He's like, I've never dunked before in a game. Thanks for the boost. Like, it was kind of like that. But Tom Chambers, in a little bit of a spot here. He was charged with 2 counts of assault this week in Arizona, and it's stemming from an incident in April in Scottsdale. Have you been to Scottsdale, Domonique?
I have, yeah.
It's a good time from what I understand. I've never been.
Yeah, I haven't been in a long time. Last time I was there, my good friend picked me up from the airport in his car that did not have air conditioning. So we got about 3 miles from the airport, and I told him to turn around and take me to the rental-car place.
It's a real good friend.
Oh yeah, he's a good man. I love him. He's here right now, actually. But anyway, that's a whole nother story.
So Tom Chambers in April was at a restaurant. This is like a sit-down restaurant, and I'm trying to think what I can quote from the police from the article. Okay, so witnesses told police that the other patron, I'm not going to name his name, but this dude, younger dude, began to take verbal jabs at Chambers, including "You're not bleep," "You're tall and scrawny," "Look at your big head." Tom told police that the final straw came when this guy said something really negative about his mom and his birth and said, "As ugly as you are, your arms are skinny, your chest is this, your belly is big." Chambers hasn't played. Like, that's what stands out to me. Like, this dude either was so mad at something Tom Chambers did or didn't do in his playing career out in Arizona. Like, he was a star for the Suns, he's a 4-time All-Star. But it's been 20 years. This guy retired in 1998. And I choose to think of it as this guy has hung on to some sort of Finkel and Einhorn grudge for 20 years. And it's just, he finally got his moment. He was out at some restaurant and he's like, now's my time.
Finkel is Einhorn. So, spoiler alert. Tom Chambers, I don't get it. I've never had a situation quite like that, but I don't understand, because this is exactly what it is Twitter come to life. And we all talk about how people get tough when they're on social media, but they won't necessarily say this when they are one-on-one with a specific player. But apparently this guy, he went ahead and said what you're not supposed to say. But I don't understand how this could really get Tom Chambers that upset. Like, at this age, this far removed from sports, you would have thought that he's seen it all, he's experienced it all, and you can't get him to a point where he's going to assault someone. But to me, it suggests that there's probably a lot more going on in Tom Chambers' life, because just some random, or there is some other connection that he has with this guy, because you would imagine that just some rando talking trash on the street is not going to get you to that level of anger.
You know, rando was one of my nicknames in high school. I'm not kidding. It was actually a nickname growing up. The family nickname. Rando.
Oh man, that's not good. That's not a compliment though.
Well, no, but see, it was before that was slang for a random person, or in this case, like a creeper.
I mean, they could have, considering your age, like they could have gone with Rambo. Like that would have been cooler.
Yeah, but my mom was real anti-guns. Like we weren't allowed to have the Nintendo gun for duck hunt. So I had to do that at like friends' houses.
So you never played with Nerf guns? Nothing.
No, I had a Nerf bow and you remember the Nerf bow and arrow? I had that.
What?
Yeah.
So where's she drawing the line? She's okay with, so she just wants you to work for it, huh?
I don't know, man.
She didn't want you to take the easy way out with like a Nerf assault weapon. She's just like, you gotta earn it with this bow and arrow.
She had a lot of rules. But the mom thing, like, I think you could even take the most, like, rational, level-headed, 4-time NBA All-Star. And if you start talking about mom, like, I don't know. I feel like that's like the switch. That's where the guy goes from, like, Bruce Banner to the Incredible Hulk.
I mean, it's not the first time. He's been in plenty of locker rooms. He's been on plenty of courts. And he was once much more popular than he is now. He's been in plenty of bars. And I imagine that it's not the first time someone said something about his mom. I don't believe that it's the words that were said to him. I can't imagine that it was the words that were said to him that put him over the top. There's something else going on in this situation that we don't know about, be it in Tom Chambers' life or his relationship with this guy. Like, there's more to this story. Or, I mean, I don't know. It seems unbelievable to me.
All right, couple of things. First, it was Mark Jackson who was the defender. So maybe I should stop talking about it because Mark Jackson is in the ESPN ABC family. So maybe I'll stop talking about the fact that Mark Jackson was a human surfboard that allowed Tom Chambers to fly about 11 feet and get to the rim and throw down and build a career. So Mark Jackson deserves a lot of credit for not only what he did as a player, but what he did for another player, in this instance, Tom Chambers. But secondly, I want to go one of two ways. I either want to take the poll, like take the temperature of Cody and Guillermo and Roy and Mike, to see like what their one sports grudge is. No matter how, as a matter of fact, it's probably better if it's really like a long time ago. Like what's your one sports grudge where if you saw the antagonist out somewhere, it like the closest you would come to popping off at the mouth and maybe starting something. Like, what's that one sports thing? And I'll start it to buy time because I'm not being a good teammate here. Like, I'm just springing this on everyone, but like we didn't talk about it in the break or anything. But mine would be either Levon Hernandez for that ridiculous strike zone in 1997 in the NLCS.
Nah, that was fair. That was a fair strike zone.
The random Cincinnati linebacker who chased down Bo Jackson and ruined his career in the playoffs. That's my favorite athlete of all time. Or Kent Herbeck pulling Ron Gant off of first base, like literally picking him up and moving him and tagging him out in the 91 World Series. It would be one of those three things. And I've had a chance to say something to Kent Herbeck, but I couldn't because I was working in Fort Myers. He was down there for spring training.
Well, that's not,
what would you have said?
That's not a real grudge.
What would you have said? Yeah.
Listen, you.
Yeah. You'd write him a strongly worded letter?
I would have been like, I don't know what I would have said, but I had my opportunity and I didn't do what this guy did.
Oh, you got him. Sick burn.
Got him.
I got nothing. I admittedly said nothing, but I was in a station golf shirt and I was carrying a camera. So I could.
Well, I mean, then it doesn't count. Like, if it's a true grudge, like, do you need to go listen to the song, What's Beef? Like, if it is real beef, then you don't let a camera, you don't let your polo, you don't let anything stand in the way. Mm-hmm. When you get that opportunity, man, you gotta jump.
That's true. Where were you in 06? You know? 07.
I wasn't with you because we'd have handled our business, as we know, because if the two Matt Berries catch us in a Walmart parking lot, it's going down because that's beef.
That's a quick night at the office is what that is. All right. So I'm going to take a break. I'm getting the break sign from Outsider, Smokes, Mikey C. Let's break and then come back and talk about old sports grudges because I feel like Mike Ryan has something Cleveland related that maybe we're forgetting about. So we're going to do that. All right. That is marching. Okay, that's what we're going to do.
Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying a home for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a lot of anxiety and stress for a lot of people. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about that. They're calling it the power buying process. Here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, your assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. That gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. This is very cool here. First, they'll lock your rate up for 90 days while you shop. Now, here's the best part. If rates go up, your rates stay the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. Either way, you win. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, simple. Go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz. Rate Shield approval. Only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data records. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Don Le Batard.
You are the best, and when I say the best, I mean the very worst and most evil.
Stugotz.
The worst.
But this time, it's for real.
Worst.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Randy, get straight into the straight talk, man, because you were giving us some quality straight talk during the break. No lollygagging.
Okay. All right, Domonique Foxworth and Randy Scott in for the guys. No, I just said, because before we went to commercial, I was
lollygagging.
No,
straight to it.
What is the one sports grudge, no matter how old, matter of fact, the older the better, that you would, get into a fight about, like this guy did with Tom Chambers? He was so upset about something Tom Chambers did, however long ago.
This is all lollygagging.
I'm just reminding the people in case they just got in their car or just got to work and fired it up. So I just said that, because I think it was Guillermo who said, you would never fight. You don't strike me as a fighter. You don't strike me as somebody who would throw hands.
Lolly.
And he's not wrong now, but back when I used to drink more than I do now, which is to say college, yeah, I would pop off, and I have the stitches in my, scars on my face to attest to it. But I got into it very one-sidedly. Like Zach Kustok may not even remember this, but I chirped at him after a bad game my freshman year.
So Zach Kustok was the quarterback. For the Northwestern Wildcats.
He was one of the best quarterbacks Northwestern ever had. And surprisingly, Northwestern almost made it to the Rose Bowl my freshman year, but we lost to Iowa. And he was dating a girl in the same sorority as a girl that I was dating. I don't know if it's fair. At the time, it was a snooty sorority. And there were some people at that party that have since gone on. It was a date party or date night or whatever, gone on to be pretty famous. And one of them is not Zach Kustok, as a matter of fact, and one of them is not me either. I'm talking above us, because at that party was
name names.
Luke Donald, former world number one golfer.
Oh.
I don't think he's I know he's not number one now, but he's still touring and making a lot of money. And Meghan Markle was at that party. Meghan Markle is now,
the Duchess?
What's her royal title? Duchess? Yeah, Duchess. She was in that same sorority. She was in, this might be public, but Kappa Kappa Gamma, and they were...
What a name drop.
They were the sorority of record. Well, I didn't...
A royal name drop.
I didn't know...
Impressive.
Nobody knew she was going to go on to do what she's doing, and so that was that. So, basically, I said, I was well past the point of being coherent, except for getting close to Zach Kustok and doing the whole, say it loud so he can hear me sort of thing.
What did you say?
How bad it was against Iowa and how bad he was against Iowa and cost us a trip to the Rose Bowl and all that stuff. And it was I was embarrassed. I embarrassed myself, and I didn't get scars that night because I think somebody held Kustok back or got him out of there and away from the loudmouth freshman who was talking above his weight class.
We say no, you would have wrecked him, Randy. I'm sure.
I was taller than he was, but he outweighed me and was fast and probably is fast still. But yeah, it wasn't good, man. Wasn't good. So I've been the guy who's been the antagonist in these sorts of things, and I'm saying if you had a righteous sports beef that still bothered you that many years later, because for me that was 18 years ago. That was fall 2000 where we lost to Iowa, a team that won 3 games that year and kept us out of the Rose Bowl. So, is there one that you guys have? Domonique, I don't even know, man. Somebody who played, you strike me as someone who's no, I don't have time for that sort of sports hatred in my heart.
No, the love for sports in the way that fans do, in college, it started to die a bit, because it became your job. So it was hard to get as intense or to drum up that intense feeling for a team that you were not on. So I certainly remember being, and I was when we would go to the local bars or whatever and people would try to pick fights with us, I was always the guy trying to get us out of there without getting arrested. But sometimes it would escalate and you got to throw hands, which is never a fun thing to do.
Dom. Lee Evans cost you a trip to the Super Bowl. Come on.
I tore my ACL earlier in that season, so I wasn't even. I mean, I was at the game, but
yeah, but come on, you could have had a ring. Come on.
But when you are down in the trenches with guys, like those are not going to be the people who are hardest on you.
I won't forgive Lee Evans on your behalf.
You would have destroyed that Giants team.
You must have money right now or something. What happened?
I am bothered by Lee Evans to this day. There's a ton of those guys.
There's no Cleveland related sports thing for you, Mike?
Oh, for me, I mean the obvious one is Modell. But Terry Porter, the official in the Fiesta Bowl between the Miami Hurricanes and Ohio State Buckeyes, if I ever see him in public, it's going to be a thing, and an embarrassing thing for one of us, a potentially dangerous thing for another.
Yeah, give an old man a heart attack. Guillermo, you have one?
I mean, all I'm thinking about now is your friendship with the Duchess.
We were not friends. She wouldn't know me if I fell through the ceiling.
Oh. That's disappointing.
No.
Why don't you tell people just tell people you're friends? Who would know?
I'm trying to get beyond the embellishing stories phase of my life.
Oh, this is back to you lying.
Yes, I had a problem, polishing up some of my stories to try to get a laugh back in the day. Some would have called it stand-up comedy, but
well, I mean, is that something that, so my son, I have 3 kids, a girl, a boy, and a girl, and the boy, the 5-year-old boy, lies a lot. Is that something that young boys, I don't remember being this much of a liar when I was a kid, and it stresses me out when he just looks me right in the eyes and tells me a lie that we both know. It's just like, is he underestimating my intelligence? When like the classic move where it's like, did you eat something? And he's like, no, but it's all smeared over his face. And I'm like, go look in the mirror, come back and tell me. And he comes back after looking in the mirror, doesn't even attempt to wipe the stuff off his face, and comes back and looks me right in the eyes again and lies. And I'm like, what are you doing?
So he does it for sport?
I don't know if it's for sport or if it's like, I think it might be tied to the fact that he is constantly trying me. Like he believes that he should be the man of the house. And I think that this is just an extension of that, where he wants to challenge me at every turn. It's like, so I'm gonna lie to you. What you gonna do about it?
So he doesn't, like, it's a disrespect thing, but he also thinks you're not gonna do any, like.
Oh no, I mean, I punish him to the furthest extent the law will allow. Like, I will go so heavy on the timeouts and the walk from wherever we are to the timeout chair. I'm not going to say it does not involve a good arm squeeze, but it never goes further than that. And he's ready. He's ready at the drop of the hat to take it further at any moment. He's only 5.
Sometimes he grabs your arm and he walks to the chair.
No, so this happens often, frankly. I'll put him in timeout for like 5 minutes or 15 minutes or however long the infraction requires. And we'll sit there, and I'll sit there across from him, and we'll lock eyes. He'll sit in a timeout. We'll both look at each other without blinking for 5 minutes straight. And then I come back over and say, all right, timeout's over. And I tell him I love him, and I go back to what he did and like, see, we just can't have this type of stuff. And he's like, all right, I love you too. And I was like, all right, you can get up. Nah, I'm gonna stay here. And he just sits there in timeout, just like as a show of force for 5 more minutes with his eyes locked on me. It's like, I'm terrified because right now, he is not stronger than me. He's not bigger than me. So I'm scared that his reasoning ability won't catch up faster than my muscle deterioration. Because if he gets to the point, if he still thinks like this when he's 16, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble.
Yeah, try an arm squeeze then. See what happens.
Don Le Batard.
You want to make something smart really dumb? I give you Stugotz.
Stugotz.
You love sandwiches, huh?
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Domonique Foxworth in D.C., Randy Scott, excuse me, here in Bristol, that's a fine. Down in Miami, Mike Ryan, Guillermo, Chris Cody, Roy, Allison's there. She's not saying anything. I think Allison's there. Hey, Allison, if you are there. We were talking in the break about so many different things, including Dominique's son, who's soon to rule House Foxworth.
Oh, yeah. I was terrified of it.
I was talking about Maya in a bit, like, I was asking, because you're looking for an outlet for this energy and creativity, because that's how you can look at the lying, right? He's just being creative. He has a good imagination.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like people outside the house are shocked when they hear these stories about my son because he's super charismatic and personable and he behaves. I've had this conversation with all my kids from the time that they could understand words. It's like, look, in public, do not embarrass me. Like if we have these fights at home, that's one thing, or these arguments or disagreements. But that was one thing that I have always dreaded, being that parent who is in the target when your kid is throwing a temper tantrum or something. Like, just don't embarrass me in public. Control yourself in public. At home, we'll figure it out. So at least he has enough respect for me to do that. In public, people think he is an angel baby.
There you go. Well, that's good. I mean, then he's listening to you. At least he's incorporating that part of it. But I was going to say, like, sports, right? Like, sports could be the good outlet for energy. And for me, because my son's the same age, and we've got soccer coming up, and I don't know a thing about, like, I know a little bit about soccer, just haven't worked here, but my wife is the one who played it. Like, I can't relate to my son on that level. So I'm kind of like, okay, it's not that I'm rooting against soccer taking for him. Like, I want him to be good at it, but at the same time, our conversations are going to be like, hey, you were really hustling out there, you know?
He's
like, I don't
5. Like, have you ever seen a 5-year-old soccer match? Like, he's not going to be out here. They don't have offsides. They normally don't have goalies. Like, it's a ball with a mass of kids rolling around it. It's just a mess. Like, what type of upper level soccer conversation do you think he and your wife are going to be having?
It also sounds like you're rooting against it too. Like you said, you're not be rooting against it.
I'm not rooting against it. I just do I want him to like basketball more than soccer? Yeah. Yeah, because I played basketball at a high level. JV. Look it up. So anyway, that could be a good outlet for
I'm going to go ahead and say that he has a better chance of doing well at soccer, considering your wife played college soccer.
Yeah.
JV basketball, I don't know about that.
If all he gets from me is height and these awesome eyelashes, that's it.
Hold on. So you're 6'4".
Yeah.
You're 6'4", right?
Yeah.
And the highest level of competition you were able to achieve in basketball was JV?
I played varsity summer league, but I had this nasty ailment of shredding my ankles. Like I've torn every ligament there is in both ankles. So.
Okay, so it's injury related. You would have played varsity if it weren't for the weak ankles.
Well, I don't know about you, and Cody, you can attest to this because you're more familiar you coached at the high school level?
Yeah, baseball.
All right, so like for my high school, it was a job to be in sports off the field. Like, you had to raise money. You had to do the field maintenance. You had, for baseball, you had to, pull the risers out, do the concessions for basketball. Like, there was so much in addition to just practicing and playing and lifting weights and all that stuff that, like, I didn't love it enough to go through all that nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, that was also part of it. If I was good enough, would I have loved it more? Sure, of course. I'm not trying to skirt that. I just
can we implement an excuse fine? Like, you just weren't good enough. Like, plain and simple.
I
weren't good
not.
enough.
I absolutely was not.
It was not about you having to tend the fields or whatever you said you had to do. Like, you weren't good enough.
I didn't like doing that though.
Get out of here with excuses. If you could ball, I guarantee you the star of the team was not selling concessions. I promise you that. The best player?
I don't know, man.
Well, that's the thing. Randy didn't like setting up the bleachers for them to watch other people play.
Yeah, all right, fine. Maybe that's true. But also, you could get your son in on fantasy football, Domonique. I feel like that it's a company priority, so
right.
He can support that, and mentally it's stimulating, and he can get some screen time and less timeout time.
Yeah, I mean, he likes football, but I actively steer him away from football, which is going to backfire on me, obviously. Because, like, I've put him in basketball. He's okay with basketball. I put him in karate, and he's starting soccer real soon. Like, I'd rather him play any of those sports other than football. So I'm not sure that I want to get it. And he thinks that he's going to be good at football because I was good at football. And, I mean, that is not necessarily the case. And I don't really... And he's also, like, the type of aggressive kid who will throw his head into anything. And I don't know that I want that for my young man. Like, you go to a fancy school, go be an engineer or something.
But that's what makes fantasy football so great. It's like he can get all the thrill without any of the physical harm. And like Cody and I were talking, I had my first fantasy draft last night. I'm cutting it down to 7 leagues this year. I feel like I'm trimming the fat. And Cody, how many are you going to be in?
I've also cut back this year. I'm in 6.
See? There you go.
How is that fun, though?
Oh, it's
one
great.
league is all you need. It's because the suspense of if you're going to win or lose doesn't matter if you got 7 chances.
It's great fun hitting the waiver wire every week. Oh my God.
Tuesday
I'm in control.
How do you live your life?
I live it perfectly. You just got to dedicate, look, on like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, the waiver wire days, you got to dedicate maybe if you have like 6 leagues, it takes like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You're on your couch and you're doing your work.
Oh yeah.
It's great.
Keep talk dirty. Keep going. That's the thing. Is like Daddy's going to start spending more time in the bathroom. That's what it is. That's where I get my roster maintenance done.
How many did you do last year, though, Randy?
12. I was in 12 leagues last year.
Even for me, that seems insane.
Because I can't say no. I can't say no. Like I get, and it's a way to keep in touch with people in your life. So like, I have cousins all over the country. We have a cousins league. I used to be in this league with people I thought I was developing a friendship with at work, and then they kicked me out of it. Some dude named Lorenzo in D.C. didn't even tell me. He just kicked me out. You hold grudges, right? And then you build a little, like, Lorenzo doll in your house that you pummel from time to time. Like, that's what you do.
So you're not adding any more, right? 7 is the cap.
No, there's no cap. It's just all I've been invited to. I say yes.
So you didn't trim any fat, Randy.
I did.
People trimmed you.
I run a league. I run a league that I decided not to. Being commissioner is the worst. I hate being commissioner. So I cut out that league. I just didn't renew it. I didn't tell anybody. And I've gotten a couple feelers like, hey, are we doing the league again? But no, we're not, because nobody pays, and trying to coordinate schedules for a draft that you can do anywhere, literally anywhere on your phone on the ESPN app. Plug.
You doing 12 leagues, like you've had to have an experience where you won a league and weren't paid.
Oh, 100%.
That's the worst.
But also you end up rooting against yourself. Like, if you go into that Monday night matchup and like a couple teams that you have one player and then you're going against that same player, like it's not, I wouldn't advise it, but it's a way to keep in touch with people, high school friends, college friends, former friends, on radio who you thought you were getting close to,
So last year you were in 12 leagues. How many leagues did you win?
3.
3.
Yeah.
Decent ratio.
Not bad.
It's enough to pay for it. As long as you win enough to where it pays for it, then you're good to go.
I mean, you realize this is like an addict's rationalization, right?
Yeah, it's not. I didn't say it was healthy behavior.
Oh, it's extremely unhealthy. There's no way that 12 leagues or 7 leagues, 6 leagues, Chris, too many leagues. 1 league is optimal amount of leagues. 2 leagues, satisfactory. Anything more than that, you got a problem.
I think I just got some breaking news into my email inbox.
You sure you are gonna add a league?
I would be willing to add a league if this invitation that I just got is legit. I will add this league and, dare I say, win this league.
What is it?
What league?
I don't know. We'll have to, you know what? I'll reveal the name of the league if it's legit, because I've never gotten an email from this person before in my life, so I got to make sure it's the right person. But it's to my work email, and it didn't go to spam, so I think it's legit, and I'm starting to get excited who that is, what the league is, and how I'm going to dominate as we continue on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz.
Is your home an ADT home? Get ADT and help protect against break-ins, fire, and carbon monoxide. For a limited time, get ADT's lowest rate starting at just $28.99 a month from the most trusted name in home security. ADT is the first security company to help keep you safe at home and when you're on the go. Go to ADT.com/podcast to take advantage of ADT's lowest rate. With 36-month monitoring contract, early termination and installation fees apply. Excludes taxes and fees. Applies to traditional services only. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com.
Dan Le Batard.
He is now eating it out of my hand like a grazing animal of some sort. Oh, he is showing love. Oh, eat the picture. Yes.
Get in there. Swallow.
No, he's not going to swallow that.
Stugotz.
What just happened there?
I finished.
You just threw out a slobbered piece of my face on the floor.
That was just a slobbered
back
piece.
in.
I got a weak stomach, man.
Tear me off half of that, Stu. I want to get involved.
Oh, no.
There's no way you're
I'm
going to do
kidding.
it. The fact that you're holding it.
I think I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. If he eats that piece of it.
I already ate the piece of paper.
That piece of it. If he eats it. I will vomit.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Domonique Foxworth, Randy Scott, in for Dan Le Batard and Stugotz on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. Stugotz back tomorrow. Greg Cody back tomorrow. Is tomorrow Ron McGill Day? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I have to check with Ron because he's been in Africa. Actually, he may be back, but we may be saving that for when Dan returns.
For sure. No, and that's, you know what? That's when Allison will come back as well. Because Allison refuses to be there unless Dan is there. But then Izzy Gutierrez the rest of the week with Stugotz. So it's the last ride for, what are we calling ourselves, Dominique? Is it Red Fox?
I thought that you said you didn't like red because you believe that you aren't red, but the polls suggest that you are red.
Yeah. Well, also the eyes, like the power of sight, because the lights in the SportsCenter studio are pretty harsh, and the hair color is fading, and I got to go get that touched up. Got to go get my Elvis, my Wayne Newton on.
Are there better colors to dye? Like, I feel like going darker, I feel like going red might be smarter for you from a dye standpoint.
Do you want me to go like M&M? You want me to go like Frosted Tips?
I don't know. I feel like a lighter color would be better than trying to go brown. I mean, I don't know. Never had to do that.
I don't notice things like hair color, I'm just like enlightened and woke. So
you don't see color?
I don't see hair color. So before the break, I'm sorry, I'm on this high. I got an email. I'm not going to read the email out out loud, but it went to, like if you're at work and you get an email from a non-work email and you're like, why didn't this go to my spam filter? Oh, it must be legit. Well, I got one of those from Charlie, who deems himself, is he the commissioner of the League of Lobos?
It's, wait a second. Are you about to tell me what I think you're about to tell me?
Listen, he said we have one team slot remaining. If you want it, you're running with the Lobos, my dude. I responded all caps. IN. In. He responded back all caps. 3 words. We are the Lobos.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Why did this happen? Why?
This needs to get approved still, though, by the way. There's an approval process.
I mean, there's a 2/3 vote. Just like anything with the NFL owners, they need 2/3 approval. So you need 2/3 of the current Lobo members to approve you entering the League of Lobos. And I'm going to go ahead and go on record. I'm voting against it.
So
your own good.
Are you in this league, Domonique?
I am in this league.
Is your vote for sale?
No, I'm voting because I care about you. And adding another league will not be healthy for your wife, your kids, you, your career, none of that. You don't need another league. I will not. Well, I mean, I guess there is a price for everyone.
Okay, see, there you go. We'll talk.
You know who should be the most upset about this is Mikey C. He's with our show every day.
Yeah, Mikey C, you work on it every day. You got to let him just take your spot like that?
I was in this league 2 years ago, and I was booted out. I feel like I was there first.
Stop stepping on Mikey C, man. Just give him some room, you bully. Mikey C, hey, Smokes, how do you feel about this?
I feel terrible because, I work on the show every day. I have to hear about the Lobos and Cody's gala and everything, and never been invited. Randy Scott fills in, once or twice a year.
Poorly, I might add.
Yeah, when other people say no.
He had his chance. You should be so mad.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I can hear everything you're saying.
I think I'm going to put a poll up of who people want to be in our league more, Randy Scott or Mikey C.
What happened?
Please don't do
Let's
that.
do it. Put it on the poll.
Please don't do that.
I want Smokes.
No, I'm not going to win that poll. Let's not do that. Who won the league last year?
Allison.
Yeah.
That's who told me to ask that question, so that works out.
That makes sense.
I feel like I might have...
Did she mention the shirts?
I might have a vote. She said that all the winners get shirts, and that she feels like there's a bit of a bias against the most recent champion because she's yet to receive shirts.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How did you worm your way back into this league? I thought we fixed this.
He's not back in. He's not back in.
Give Allison the shirt off my back to join this league.
Don't threaten her. Don't threaten her or her personal space.
What will you do to get in the league? I feel like Smokes has led us down the proper path. Like, you have to buy into this league. He just offered the shirt off his back. What are you offering there, Eyelashes?
Speaking of shirts, and that's the best nickname you've ever come up with for me, I wear past winner shirts. I wear these shirts out, like the blue one and the yellow one, I wear out to like the gym. I wear just walking around town. I'm trying to get you guys noticed, with my flaming red hair.
Have some self-respect. The league kicked you out, and you're walking around with the shirt on. Like, that does not endear you to us.
No, I'm trying to. I think I was in the league before Domonique was.
Doesn't matter. I'm a better addition.
No, obviously, but I will still try to buy your vote. I'd like to be in this league because I'll pay attention and I'll pay dues and then I'll win. There's also that. You know who's going to be a monster this year? Isaiah Crowell. Heard it here first.
There's a $1,000 buy-in.
$1,000?
Yep.
Dominique, can I borrow $950?
Nope. It's the rules, man. Got to buy in. I bought in. Everyone in the league bought in for $1,000.
Yeah,
all right.
It's an expansion fee.
I'll scratch it together. Do you guys accept Bitcoin? Crypto portfolio is taking a hit. Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, ESPN Radio, and the ESPN app. Lobos.
Stugotz here for Lightstream. If you're thinking about saving money this summer, why not start by paying less interest on your credit card balances? Refinance with credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream. It's an easy way to save hundreds to thousands of dollars and lower your interest rate. Lightstream offers credit card consolidation loans from 5.89% APR with autopay, lower than the average credit card interest rate of over 18% APR. Say goodbye to high interest rate credit cards this summer and start saving with Lightstream. Guys, they did it for me. I promise they can do it for you. Our listeners can save even more with an additional interest rate discount on top of Lightstream's already low rates. The only way to get this discount is by going to lightstream.com/Lebitard, lightstream.com/Lebitard, subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.5% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com for more information.
Message and data rates may apply.
When did it become okay for men to be lazier, softer, fatter? We need to bring the men of this country back to greatness. And it's easier than ever with Ageless Male Max, a patent-pending formula with an ingredient that helps boost your total testosterone, promoting greater increases in muscle size and twice the reduction of body fat percentage than exercise alone. Plus, an amazing 64% increase in nitric oxide, which can be handy in the gym and in the bedroom. Take your manhood to the max by trying your first 30-day bottle free. Just pay shipping and handling. Not 10 days, not 15 days, but a full 30-day supply free when you text the word LIFT to 797979. Finally, a formula that boosts total testosterone. If your results with Ageless Male Max are too intense, please decrease use. For your free bottle, text LIFT to 797979. Text LIFT to 797979.
Domonique Foxworth and
you didn't think I had that Martinez soccer Atlanta United knowledge, but I got it. I know about my man from Caracas, Venezuela.
Yeah, I just didn't know. I mean, I'm not trying to get on some sort of internet watch list here at ESPN.
Why would you be on the internet watch list?
I'm looking for what would I Google and what image would show
all
up?
You have to do is Google his name and do images. It's like one of the first couple images, and it's like I think it was like an Instagram promotion, and he I think it's kind of funny and cool, but I don't think he really appreciated it. He took the photo, but then they posted it on Valentine's Day, and I remember an article saying that he was not happy with it, but I thought it was a funny little thing to do. But yeah, you won't get on the watch list.
Oh, okay. So he's clothed and everything. It's not like a strategically placed blossom.
Clothed. I think he had a quote in the article though saying next time it'll be without clothes. I think there was something to that effect. So
there you go.
He was having fun with it, but he was also a bit annoyed by it. But I thought it was awesome, and I did not know that he was as good a player as he is. I just remember that popping up and thinking, hey, come on, guy, don't be mad, have a good time. But apparently he is awesome too. Well,
so it's the rule from Wedding Crashers: draw attention to yourself, but on your own terms, in a positive way.
You got it, Lashes.
That's what. Yeah, that'll work. It's not going to make up for red, but it'll
I'm sorry. I'm trying to make it catch on, man.
No, I appreciate it. So Domonique Foxworth, member of the League of Lobos. Randy Scott, now once again a member, pending a vote. But I do have a vote from Lorenzo. So that's one yay.
As many fantasy leagues as you're in, I would expect that you are quite good at fantasy football because you've had a lot of practice.
Yeah.
So could you give us a little bit of fantasy insight? Like who are the sleepers? What positions you think are undervalued? Are there players that should be on the watch list? Like don't give us the top guys. Or you've already done a draft, so you've prepared for drafts. So don't give us the hey, if you can get Antonio Brown, go ahead and get him. Like that's nonsense. Yeah. Give us some insight.
Well, let me ask you something. In your playing days, did you make it a habit of showing the playbook to the other team?
No, but I mean, you're better at fantasy football than I was at real football, so it doesn't matter.
That is, that's neither here nor there. No, I'm not gonna start rattling off.
Well, we can't just let you in the league if you don't have any fantasy acumen.
I'm already in the league.
You need to be tested. You're not in the league. No, you have gotten an offer, 2/3 vote, and $1,000 buy-in.
Yeah,
$1,000 buy-in.
The buy-in on our Venmo.
Yeah, just send me the Venmo address, and we'll get to work on raising the. We'll crowdsource it.
By the way, it's $1,000 per club. That's the expansion fee.
That's the expansion. Yeah. You paid to the league, right? That's fine. We'll do a Kickstarter. We'll get this thing going. I'll drop my white paper business plan, and it's basically just to win the league and return the money to everybody.
Based on the social media reaction, I don't think you're going to get much crowdfunding, man. I'm just going to throw that out there. I feel like Smokes has the support of the people. You are an underdog.
Did that get put out there? Is that a poll that's out? I'm not going to win that.
Who would you rather have join the League of Lobos, Randy Scott or Mikey C? And it's not looking good for you, Randy.
Well, that can't be binding though, right? That's just out there for interaction. That's just content. Right, we're just generating content. What's binding is Charlie's email, right? Like that's what we agree. I feel like that's
nobody respects more Charlie. Let's go ahead and put it out there. No one respects Charlie. Let's just go throw it out there. He's a puppet, a trophy head as far as commissioner's concerned. Like we just put him there because no one wants to do commissioning, so we make him commission.
How dare you, sir?
I mean, facts are facts. Tell him I said it. Come see me. We work in the same building. I'm on the 5th floor. He's on the 6th. He can come on down and we can settle this if he has a problem with it.
Okay, yeah. You guys meet on the stairs and see what happens. Domonique, does the new AP poll do anything for you? The first AP poll of the year?
No.
Cool.
Sorry.
Right. So our college football no, that's fine. I'm with you. I think polls this early are
specifically in college football. It's very difficult to really gauge. Like, you know who's going to be there, Clemson and Alabama. You know they're going to be there, and then the rest of it is, I mean, it's kind of up in the air.
No, I'll do my Dan thing. Very good. Very good. Okay, so the next, so our college football content in this hour is going to be Dennis Dodd from CBS, and it won't be X's and O's. He talked to Division I college football coaches. He pulled them anonymously and went sort of, you know, the questions that you want to know, like who's overrated, who's underrated. So according to those coaches, we'll get his insight on that. That's coming up right for 12:30 with Dennis Dodd from CBS. But otherwise, we're kind of open. And I mean, 2 members of the League of Lobos hosting the show. Obviously, the shipping container is there in Miami. So Mike Ryan and Chris Cody and Guillermo. Allison's not there. Roy is there. It was nice to meet Roy. Still the only member of the shipping container who I've met. I've met Stugotz and I've met Roy in person, and that's it.
I got a question for you about that poll that you brought up.
Yeah.
So you seem to be really high on this poll and appreciating this poll. It kind of bothers me, given I've read some of the things that came out of the poll, and I understand I like anonymous polling in general, but if you're going to anonymously poll a bunch of people who have relationships and friendships and work together or work against each other, like there are some parts of the relationship or some parts of people's relationships and feelings for each other that bleed in. So I don't know. It's just, the James Franklin thing really rubbed me the wrong way, frankly. Like if you look at his track record, he's impressive.
So which part of it bothered you? That somebody said he was overrated?
A lot of coaches said he was overrated, and they said like he's an excellent. Some of the quotes were he's an excellent marketer, but not necessarily a football coach. Like, what is college football if not marketing? Like, the best teams get the best players. The best players come to the places that they believe are places that can help them get better. It's all about marketing. They all want to pretend like they're some X and O genius, and they blame James Franklin's marketing for why he's good. No, he was great at Vanderbilt. It's a tough school. He rebuilt or was part of the rebuild process at Penn State. I don't know how you can look at it and say that he is overrated, and I feel like there's some jealousy bleeding into this poll.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I like that one of the more overrated, Lane Kiffin. I feel like that's going to generate a little bit of a reaction. Like, he's a friend of the program. I feel like we're going to have to ask Dennis Dodd how many coaches, because it was 13% of the vote, so it's one of the top 4 coaches as being overrated. So it's Kirk Ferentz is overrated, James Franklin, Willie Taggart, the most overrated at 20% of the vote. But Lane Kiffin is on there, and you guys have enjoyed having Lane on, right? I've enjoyed his segments with you guys.
Yes, we enjoy Lane.
So we got to defend him. Let's do it. I'm jumping in.
It's hard to say Lane Kiffin is overrated, though, because like it's not like he's at a big-time school. Maybe he was overrated at one point, but Lane Kiffin is
Look what he did with that program. 1-year turnaround. Oklahoma on upset alert. Willie Taggart, though, that's an excellent choice for most overrated. And he's in trouble because that AD just left and took Oliver Luck's job. So already on the hot seat, Willie Taggart. How about that?
Whoa. Okay. They say Willie Taggart still has a career losing record. That's one of the quotes for one of the coaches. Anyway, we'll do all this with Dennis Dodd. We don't have to get into it now, but the first AP poll is out. It's breaking news. It's Greg McElroy is pontificating, and other folks are talking about Alabama's number 1. Alabama's number 1 atop this poll. Wisconsin is number 4. Clemson's in there among the top 4 as well, but none of this is binding. All of it can change. We're still a week away from actual games, which you can see here.
Did you hear the the Saban quotes over the weekend about I guess they lost another linebacker, and it was pretty funny quotes because he dropped profanity. I'm still a child, I guess, because it makes me smile. But he just said that you guys think I walk around and bleep out 5 stars essentially because they're getting players injured and they come in with new starters on defense and we all still rank them very highly. I thought it was a funny quote, but I mean it is true. Like, they do dominate recruiting year in, year out. Like, they do have people on their bench. Like, Kenyon Drake's an example of someone who was on the bench for much of his college career, but is good enough to be a starting NFL running back. So, I don't know if I buy Nick Saban's point, because he does kind of poop out 5 stars.
Well, it's funny you bring up Nick Saban because he was mentioned in the overrated part of this article. And again, it's like I'm doing PR for the article, but this quote, okay, if you had the number 1 recruiting class in the country every year, you'd win like Nick Saban. He shows up at every single game with a better roster than the teams he's playing. If you count cheating and getting the best players in the country as part of running a program, he's the best in the country, close quote. About Nick Saban. Like, I feel like
jealousy and hate.
Yeah, I know. I get that, but like, even still, you don't hear that about Saban much. Like, you don't hear the cheating thing. Yeah, he gets great players, and obviously, like, it's easier, I would think, easier to win, right, with the best players, and that was one of the things that dogged him in the NFL. But how do you guys, is there still bitterness about Saban in Miami, or is that abated a bit?
No, there's still bitterness down here from Dolphin fans.
Because he lied?
Yeah, it's a lying. It's a lying. At the heart of it, I think it's because he left, but the lying is just something that the fans will always cling to, because it was a terrible look for him.
I was at that press conference.
Cool.
Wink TV in South, Wink TV in Southwest Florida. Sorry, Outsiders /Smoke Mikey C has that soundbite from Saban. Go ahead.
Well, I've been concerned about this all along. I mean, so I don't even know why you would ask the question, because you all don't think, you just think we just, whatever happens, we just another player. And everything's going to be perfect. All of our fans think that. You all think that. That's what you write about. That's the message that you send out there. And, yeah, I worry about it all the time. I may be the only one.
From Matt Groening, legendary creator of The Simpsons and Futurama, comes Disenchantment, an epic animated tale set in a medieval fantasy world full of elves, sorcerers, ogres, and lots of human fools. It's a rich and complex universe, offering endless characters, stories, and laughs. Follow the misadventures of hard-drinking Princess Bean, voiced by Abby Jacobson, her feisty elf companion Elfo, voiced by Nat Faxon, and her personal demon Lucy, voiced by Eric Andre, as they form an unlikely trio and go on adventures together. Watch the new Netflix original series, Disenchantment, now streaming only on Netflix. I want to see if we can isolate that audio of Mike Ryan congratulating me for being at a press conference 12 years ago. We'll see if we can come up with that. It's Dan Le Batard Show. Domonique Foxworth, Randy Scott in for the guys. Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying a home for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a lot of anxiety and stress for a lot of people. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about that. They're calling it the power buying process. Here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, your assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. That gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. This is very cool here. First, they'll lock your rate up for 90 days while you shop. Now, here's the best part. If rates go up, your rates stay the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. Either way, you win. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, simple. Go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz. Rate Shield approval. Only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data records. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Dan Le Batard.
I know what you like, and I give it to you to make you a junkie so that you're listening and you can't help yourself on the stuff that I got to force feed you. But I know what you like, and I'll give it to you sparingly just to get you addicted.
Stugotz.
You'll stay right there addicted, and every once in a while, I'll give you smack that you don't like, but that you need. It's medicine you need. It's the whole formula. We know what you like. It's why you're addicted. even though you hate that part of the show.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Domonique Foxworth and Randy Scott in for the guys again on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. Red Fox, sure.
Okay.
It's ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. One of the weird things, and I don't care, sometimes people are like, oh, I don't really care who's where and don't take people behind the fourth wall, or I don't know, whatever the rule is, but I don't care. I need to explain why I had such a pregnant pause and layout before to where Mike Ryan basically lit me aflame in a very subtle way, and I deserved every second of it, but I want to try to explain it. It's going to sound like a bunch of excusing and hemming and hawing, and I don't care. But last segment, I was trying to listen to Outsider to tell me that, hey, we have that Saban sound while talking about Saban and him being a liar back in 2006 when he said he wasn't going to leave the Dolphins while like a University of Miami moving truck was at his house on whatever island, whatever that famous island is where people live in Miami. I'm blanking on it, but and so I just tried to, chime in and be like, oh yeah, I was at that press conference. And then I'm listening to Outsider thinking someone's going to take that, maybe someone in Miami. And instead nobody did because it was a lame contribution to a dwindling conversation. The thing was on life support and I was trying to be a part of it. And it didn't work.
So you're saying that last segment you gave the world some bad radio. And to solve that, you want to come right in hot on this segment.
Yeah.
And talk about the bad radio, thus making more bad radio.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right.
Cool. Way to go.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened. And
I've got the audio soundbite there, Randy, if you want to relive it some more of what happened.
I think it's, is it worth, sure.
Is it worth
replaying? Be a cornerback.
No.
You just couldn't be a cornerback.
No, but we're just going to go ahead and do it anyways.
I was at that press conference. Cool. Wink TV in South. Yeah. Yep.
You can't dwell on it, man. You couldn't be a cornerback. You can't dwell on it. Once something goes wrong, man, you move on. You don't forget it, but you move on with greater confidence. You come back the next segment ready to get an interception to PBU on third down. Like, you don't talk about how you bit on the double move in the segment before. Like,
speaking of cornerbacks, Domonique, there's a cornerback for LSU who's a highly touted draft prospect. I've been reading about him because season kicks off in 2 weeks. Yeah, we got a big one. Top 25 matchup between the number 25 LSU Tigers and the number 8 Miami Hurricanes. Greedy Williams is a star corner for the LSU Tigers. Greedy. Oh. Isn't that a terrible name for a corner?
I like it. I like it. Like, I mean, I'm assuming it's not his actual name. So, like, I don't imagine that he goes around saying, "What up? I'm greedy." Or does he? But either way, I think it's a cool, like, you gotta have a little bit of flair out there on the edge. Like, I like that he's giving us a little something.
It is kind of cool because he's going to be drafted. And,
right.
Cornerback is a flashy position, greedy, all sorts of puns. They're negative ones. Oh, he got too greedy. I'm sure he hasn't heard that one before, but, greed is good. Greed is great.
Yeah.
You think you've seen that movie?
Wall Street?
Yeah.
Probably not. There's a lot of people that in this radio audience that heard you reference that and didn't even know it came from a movie.
Oh my gosh. We work with, I don't know.
So,
I work with people who haven't seen Top Gun.
Oh.
There's people in this studio with me that haven't seen Top Gun.
Hurtful.
There's people in D.C. who haven't seen Top Gun.
The thing about working, and hey, Domonique, I know, I'm going back to it. I don't care. I'm going to test that. I'm going to test that corner one more time. The thing about being in 3 different places, you're in D.C., I'm in Bristol, everybody else is in Miami. I can't look at you and be like, oh, he's, taking a drink of water, he's looking at something else, he's getting traffic from someone else. I can't look and see who's like.
Oh man, stop dwelling on it. It happened.
I know.
We're moving on.
But now I'm shook.
If the quarterback throws at greedy, you can also say the quarterback's getting a little greedy. Once he gets the pick. Like I like the positive spin on the greedy more than the negative because he's also really good, right?
Supposed to be. He's a highly touted NFL prospect, Greedy Williams.
He's at LSU. Hey, can I ask an NBA question real quick?
Sure.
All right. So there was a James Harden celebrity game in Texas over the weekend, like an all-star thing, and Russell Westbrook was there, but Kevin Durant wasn't there. Obviously, they were all teammates on the Thunder. What does it mean? All right. Good talk, Russ. I think no, I'm legit curious. We had this conversation. We didn't know if it was an invite but couldn't come situation. There was an RSVP like, hey, wish I could be there. I got this thing in China. I'm doing some marketing stuff. Like, I don't know where Durant was, but I wonder if he was even invited.
So, Mike, the preseason football has been awesome. The young quarterbacks have been fantastic. I want to know which one, if you had to start a franchise today, and maybe you're the wrong person to ask because I feel like you're biased.
It's Baker Mayfield. It's Baker Mayfield. Baker the touchdown maker.
You want Baker Mayfield to start the season.
Footwork, accuracy, mobility, leadership,
pocket presence,
awareness, making reads.
Knows how to win.
Touchdown maker.
Have you learned the Baker Mayfield sound? Do you remember before the draft when Hugh Jackson said that he knew Baker Mayfield was a leader because he would make a weird sound in college and all the players, all his teammates would react with the same sound. That's how he knew he was a leader. Have you learned that sound? I feel like that's something that Cleveland fans should jump onto. What do you think, Randy?
Was that Ryan Hollins? Is that what that noise is?
Ryan Hollins is, ew!
Oh, okay. All right. I couldn't remember.
There are lots of sounds, man. Come on, Randy, get involved. Are you
leaking confidence? Yeah. Everywhere.
Are you fitting in? Are you fitting in or are you fitting out is the question.
Everywhere in the studio, confidence on the floor. Stopping up. Puddles. Dennis Dodd from CBS Sports when we come back. Who called out Nick Saban? We'll see if we can get him to name names. Dan Le Batard Show, Stugotz, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Dan Le Batard.
Levy from Motorhead with us. What's going on with you these days?
Not much. We just finished the European tour, and we're going out in America, and then we're going out in Europe again.
Stugotz.
And what are those crowds like?
Clouds.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Domonique Foxworth, Randy Scott in for Dan Le Batard and Stugotz on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. Let's get to the phones right now. We have Dennis Dodd from CBS Sports. Dennis, I don't want to sell you short on your title. I've got you as a CBS Sports senior writer. If it's more than that, feel free to add to the resume on the fly if you want.
Yeah, no, that about covers it. That's
all right. Well, I've obviously read your stuff before, but what caught my eye was the Candid Coaches series that you did. Most recently, the column that I'm looking at now is which college football coach runs the cleanest program. But what I do kind of want to get into is the negative as well, where it's who are the most overrated and underrated college football coaches, and that was from your colleague Chip Patterson as well. But with regards to the cleanest football program, what surprised you with some of these results? And I'm looking at David Shaw and Chris Peterson and the usual suspects getting a lot of the votes here.
Yeah, I think that's it. Just the usual suspects getting a lot of votes. You didn't, having Shaw and Peterson on there were no surprise. Chris Peterson's done it the right way, coaching 3 stars and NFL players at Boise, and then now resurrecting Washington and Stanford. Great Stanford story. David Shaw 2 years ago told me that to give you an idea of the restrictions Stanford operates under. When they get junior grades every June, in other words, the nation's best players, what kind of grades they have, because they got to get into Stanford. There is a group of 50 players that Stanford can recruit from across the country. So if you think that isn't doing a great job, you don't know the game. I think that's unbelievable.
Right, but David Shaw, he also got at least one overrated vote, too. Am I right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't, James Franklin got an overrated vote, and to me, or was among the overrated leaders. To me, he's one of the best coaches in the country. I think we have to reevaluate what we even think of James Franklin after what he's done, 2 9-win seasons at Vanderbilt, and now you can just check the box on Penn State, 10 or 11 wins every season, as well as great recruiting.
Yeah, I'm a little biased. James Franklin recruited me to Maryland, so I was a little offended when I saw people talking bad about him. But it brought to mind, I think Randy is all trusting of the anonymous poll, but it brought to mind that these coaches are, are sometimes petty and they have interpersonal relationships tied up in that. How much of that do you think, especially reading the comments, how much of that do you think is genuine opinion or tied up in their relationships with other coaches?
You stole my adjective. Petty is a good word. It's not a perfect system. You grant these people anonymity, and that, that's what you're going to get. And I think the big picture is, you got some very provocative results and quotes from some of these coaches. I think it was great. Look, at the end of the day, does it? We're not doing rocket science, but I think it's something to talk about a week and a half before the season. You're right.
All right. Well, as we're talking with Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports senior writer here, I'm looking at the date of the column, which is August 17th. And before I go in on one of the receiving votes coaches, I want to ask you when this polling was done. And I'll just qualify it by saying also receiving votes was Urban Meyer at Ohio State.
Urban Meyer. And I will reply by saying, is it possible that some of this information could have been gathered before August 9th? So there's your answer.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
What of all the questions? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it. Yeah, August 9th was the date all that happened at Ohio State, and yeah, go ahead.
Of all the questions, what have you been most surprised by? And is there anything particular that other people might find surprising that you're happy that came out in some of these questions?
I think the one about it was last week. I think who would you most like to have a beer with? And I think it was just fascinating. Mike Leach was by far the winner, and this is a lot of guys who had already had a beer with him. It was just story after story after story, and he just keeps. And it's the same with us. I know Mike well, and he's a fascinating guy to talk to. But I was not surprised when Mike Leach won that category.
He strikes me as someone who would be exhausting to listen to, though, as someone who is often described as being exhausting to listen to. But like Mike Leach is like, okay, we get it. Okay, conspiracy theory this and different way of looking at this and all that stuff. Like you could walk away from that conversation feeling pretty dumb about your own limitations and thinking.
Yeah, but I get that. And he had those political tweets this summer. I get that. But that's part of the man. He is very smart, too. You guys got to read the Geronimo book. He's a historian. Swing Your Sword, obviously, is very good. Bruce Feldman, he co-wrote a book about Geronimo, which was fascinating to me, his quote-unquote leadership qualities, and it was very good. I like people who are smarter than me that think on different layers. That's why I like talking to him, and that's why I like talking to you guys right now.
Part of that might be right. It's not the smarter part. Domonique, do you want to ask the Saban question, or can I?
You got it.
All right.
Go
so
ahead.
This quote about, and Dominique's saying that I put more trust into the anonymity of these questions. Basically, I just feel like guys are more willing to give you quotes like the following, which is, okay, this is not my words. Here's a quote. If you had the number one recruiting class in the country every year, you'd win like Nick Saban. He shows up at every single game with a better roster than the teams he's playing. If you count cheating and getting the best players in the country as part of running a program, he's the best in the country. It's like saying an NFL coach is the best coach in the league if he gets 25 first-round picks every year. Close quote. I mean, there are different questions based on lines in that, but how about the cheating accusation? Were you surprised at that?
Yeah, no, I say consider the source. Maybe that's a fallacy or a hole in giving someone anonymity that they would say that. But look, I don't know what that person was thinking. I don't know the background. I've never seen that, so I don't really have an opinion on it right now. I don't know if I was surprised or not surprised. It was almost like a throwaway line, like Dennis Dodd wears. Aside from the bad clothes Dennis Dodd wears, there's this. So it was a throwaway line that almost could be, depending on who you talk to, is not true.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Muschamp coming out a couple weeks ago saying how much he hates anonymous quotes. So I sure hope it wasn't him with the anonymous quote. I suspect it wasn't because apparently he would put his name on it. But I don't know. It just feels like saying that he's not good because he has good players. Like, isn't that what college is about? Like, is it 50% at least of college football about recruiting the best players? Like, how are you mad at him for doing half of his job really well in apparently doing the rest of it well too.
He's overrated because he's got the best players. That's a hard argument to have. You're right.
I like how, as we talked to Dennis Dodd, senior writer for CBS Sports, I like how David Shaw at Stanford and Tom Herman at Texas and Kirk Ferentz at Iowa receive votes in both polls. How often does that come up?
I haven't seen it come up. We've done this 2 years, so there isn't a big sample size, but I haven't seen it come up. Kirk Ferentz is a guy who's the highest paid state employee, and I think since 2003 they finished as high as second in their division twice, and one of those was the Big Ten championship game a couple of years ago where they lost with 27 seconds to go to Michigan State. But I can see both of those, and he's done unbelievable things at Iowa too. Shaw, I don't think you can see him as overrated at all. And Tom Herman, I think to be determined. I mean, one of the best quotes of the off season to me is Tom Herman said, "If I keep going 6-6, none of this is going to matter anyway." So he knows he has to win right away. That'll take care of itself.
All right. On the day where the first AP poll comes out, it's good to talk college football with Dennis Dodd, senior writer for CBS Sports. Dennis, thanks again for the anonymous coaching polls and some of these questions, and rather these answers that we get to quote here and give us some content here in August.
Glad to do it, guys. Thanks.
All right. Dennis Dodd joining us on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. Domonique, I thought about pressing him on a name there for that Nick Saban quote, but I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's not just a writer; he's a senior writer. You're not pulling anything on a senior writer.
And a purveyor.
Might dupe somebody else, but you're not going to get him.
Purveyor of trust. Hey, with Capital One, you can instantly lock your credit or debit card on the Capital One app in case you've lost or misplaced your card. Then instantly turn it back on when you are ready. Technology this convenient could make history. So what's in your wallet? Offered by Capital One Bank USA, N.A., copyright 2018. Domonique Foxworth, Randy Scott in for the guys. It's a Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Is your home an ADT home? Get ADT and help protect against break-ins, fire, and carbon monoxide. For a limited time, get ADT's lowest rate starting at just $28.99 a month from the most trusted name in home security. ADT is the first security company to help keep you safe at home and when you're on the go. Go to ADT.com/podcast to take advantage of ADT's lowest rate. With 36-month monitoring contract, early termination and installation fees apply. Excludes taxes and fees. Applies to traditional services only. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com.
Dan Le Batard.
It's Rich Eisen stealing my material. It is Jimmy Traina stealing my material. Hey, get out of here, man.
Who is that? Who is Jimmy Traina?
He's a media writer, I think, out of New York, who I happen to like.
Stugotz.
Like
there it is. There it is. The pivot of the Stugotz into schmarmy salesperson.
No, I happen to like Jimmy. Like, I don't know Jimmy, but I happen to like Jimmy. Jimmy Traina sounds like a guy I would hang out with.
It does. I think you're pronouncing his name wrong, by the way, but keep it moving.
Oh, whatever. I like Jimmy.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Domonique Foxworth, Randy Scott in for the guys on Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio, ESPN app. Football season coming up, obviously, so I don't know how many more opportunities I'm going to get to fill in, Domonique, but it's good to work with you again since I haven't seen you on our Sports Center in a little bit, and you've been busy doing other things.
Let's not discuss that.
Nope. But once that is
moving on.
It is kind of how it is around here. It's like
moving on.
Once football season comes, the guys stop taking vacation. People stop, taking time off, and it's just everybody in their usual roles. So I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm sure Dan and Stugotz are going to be back, but it's been fun, guys. Thank you, Mike Ryan. Glad to catch you for one day before we blast off. Do we want to update the polls? Like, I know I was going to lose the one that I was in with Outsider Smokes, Mikey C.
I want to update the polls. I don't know if you want to, but we'll go ahead and
I'll take that
anyway.
L. I'll hold that L. That's fine.
All right. Who would you rather join the League of Lobos, Randy Scott or Mikey C? 59% Mikey C.
Oh, my God. That is butt whooping.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising.
Jeez.
Who do we, the shipping container, need more, Dan or Stu? 56% goes to Dan. Who do you miss more? The shipping container, or no, not the shipping container, just the fans. Who do you miss more, Dan or Stu? 69 or 61% to Stugotz. And
that was almost nice.
Yeah, that's all the polls of the day.
Okay. So there were only 3. I was one of the 3 polls, even though I lost really, really handily.
You got 41%. That's higher than I would have expected. I mean, that's good.
Well, that's sneaky hurtful. That's like backhanded hurtful, but I don't know that that they're binding. Like, they're certainly not the one with outsider. It's not binding.
As far as I know, you're still going to be in the league above me anyways. And the league is pretty much going to sound like today's show. Not that great without outsider.
Oh, my God.
Smokes. Get him, Smokes.
That's why they call you Smokes. It's not a reference to the cancer sticks. It's reference to your flames.
Yeah.
Hurt words. There was another.
You were just starting to regain your confidence too. I could feel you. There were some shaky segments after our bad segments, and you had just started to get it back, and then Smokes comes in over the top.
Torched. I've been torched. I've been beaten and torched. Stop hitting him. He's already dead. What? There was one other thing in the break that we were talking about that we were going to come out with that had nothing to do with sports.
Oh, we were talking about that video of the police officer, who I'm sure people have seen it by now. If not, we could probably tweet it back out again. But the police officer who was chasing down a fugitive, and he showed great speed. He closed on another police officer who had like a 20-yard head start on him, caught that police officer, passed him, and got the fugitive and tackled him. And it was just an impressive feat of speed by a police officer. And I was saying in the break that I wonder how long or how often that police officer has wanted that to happen so he could display his speed. And I divulged that sometimes when I'm like eating outside or something at a cafe or something, I'll position my phone in a place that is inviting somebody to grab it and run. Cause I just wait for that moment that I can take my time and lace up my shoes, tighten them up, let my man get a little head start, and then walk his ass down. Just go get him out there.
But what happens the day somebody does it and they're young, they're like half your age, they got that like young kid run all day, speed and stamina, and you can't catch them?
All right, well then that becomes their phone. I will not press charges. I will not call the police. I will not do anything. It becomes your phone to do with it what you must. And from that point forth, I put mine in my pocket when I'm outside because I've been humble. Like that day comes eventually. Like Mufasa can't be the Lion King forever. So I'll just have to accept it.
So has anybody ever tried you? Has this test ever happened? Maybe without a phone. Maybe somebody tried to take your, credit card.
I lived in New York for a year, and I didn't want to get into any altercation, but I always anticipated that somebody would try to take an old lady's purse or something, and that's just my moment. That's why I'm there. Like that would be why I was on the street so that I can go get that pickpocket. But it's never really happened. I think the people know. They look around, they size me up, they see that I got a good sprinter's butt, and they don't want any trouble.
Or, I mean, just on the off chance that a pickpocket isn't looking at the backsides of other people in the vicinity.
That's not an experienced pickpocket. You gotta survey the tookuses if you're a good pickpocket.
The tookuses. You're trying to chase down, somebody who steals an old lady's purse. Is it because you don't live in a comic strip? Is it because you don't live in a 1960s drama?
Oh no, people still snatching purses out here.
Okay, yeah, no, they are. They totally are.
Domonique, which side of that do you think is more rewarding? Being the old guy that fends off the young guy by flashing athleticism that wasn't expected, or being the young guy that just torches the old guy who doesn't have a chance in hell? Because you've been on the young guy's side of that, right? You were going opposite of Jerry Rice towards the end, and he couldn't hang.
Oh, yeah. But there's very little pride in that. Be like, I talk about that story for people who don't know much about football, and they're like, ooh, so you shut down Jerry Rice in practice?
You shut down the Denver Broncos, Jerry Rice.
I then don't fill in the fact that he was 40 at that time.
No need.
And he left practice for a couple days to go to his daughter's high school graduation. So like it's nothing to be that proud of, but it was like a cool experience for me to be able to line up against Jerry Rice and play well.
Shut down Jerry Rice.
Yeah, that's where the story stops though.
You know why Jerry Rice is retired? 2 words: Domonique Foxworth.
Speaking of sprinters' bottoms, Jerry Rice, we saw his bottom in the body episode. I don't really got a sprinter's butt.
Well, he's also 50. Isn't he 50 now?
I don't know how old he is. All I know is